I guess getting off into the oil udder, and I think Elliot, you talked about it a little bit before. What was I guess okay, you guys are trying to figure out, okay, let's make some extra money here, and then what problems are out there that we can solve. So then from there, how did the oil udder come to be?
So the oil letter, I'll get us started, and then I know Kevin will probably have some other things to add. But like I said, it was Super Bowl 2019. It didn't have anything to do with us wanting to start a business or develop a product or anything. We were just watching the game, and then just talking about careers and really what we wanted to do, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but it came down to we wanted to make enough money to buy a sailboat, to get into sailboat racing, and we're like, well, man, it's going to take forever with our day jobs and career growth and just how much time all that takes up, because even if you buy a sailboat and you have a full-time job, how much time do you have to sail it? So then we were just spitballing, and I think it was Kevin that said, he's like, man, you know what really sucks is removing your oil filter. And I had just changed the oil in my car like a couple days prior, and you're like, you know what, that is a giant pain. Like why hasn't that been fixed? And then it went from there. And at this stage in the game, Kevin came up with some early prototypes and had them, the first ones made through another company that it doesn't look anything like the ones that are for sale now, and they looked kind of like an udder. So that's when we came up with the name Oil Udder. And then I'll hand it off to him here with the 3D printed injection molding and all that stuff.
Okay.
But that's how it started.
Nice.
Yeah, it was written, and Elliot doesn't really mention, we started to learn that the back end of Amazon, you can get data. And so looking in the space as far as what's selling, how much people are spending, we looked at some prototypes and you go, holy shit, excuse me, but holy crap, they're using, they're selling 180 a month, and they're selling 500 a month, and it doesn't do near what we want. And they're selling 1,000 a month. And we're going, well, 1,000 a month times a $30 product, that's pretty good money for a simple product. And so the two did come together. We didn't just decide we completely wanted to invent something without really digging. We saw two sides of the coin. One was there's a problem that we think we could solve pretty cleverly. And two, there was a pull from LA doing investigation with Amazon and just, what's selling in this space, how many are people buying? And that was the push-pull that kept us going down that product. And we ended up, to Elliot's point, we ended up really getting clever to reduce cost. And, with my design background and solid modeling capability and 3D printers, we were making prototypes for $50, $80 in my basement using 3D printers, and not using the 3D printer to make the part, but actually using the 3D printer to make molds. So I was doing full-blown injection molded pieces to represent the end product. Ultimately, that spun into the data that was then presented to the lawyer after we got it working. So we came up with this real basement R&D cycle that's extremely effective, extremely inexpensive, and really only requires knowledge. And anybody could, with Fusion 360 and some of the other modeling tools, as well as even things like Proto Labs and some of these digital manufacturing venues, inventing I think it's going to be the new sexy thing again, in a weird way, because it's very romantic, considering that you can essentially, we're making money right now, not doing anything. It's very scalable. It's totally possible to develop products in your basement for the first time. It's totally possible to go nationwide with Amazon almost instantaneously. People just don't have the guidance right now, and that's really, I think, the big barrier to people getting started.
And I'm glad that you said that. It's the two things that I think this is perfect. So I think, like you said, with Amazon and just being able to reach not only people across the country, but people in other parts of the world with your product. I'm not sure how much it costs to actually sell these different things on Amazon or whatever the case may be. But it seems like just having that ability is good for the individual inventors and inventors who are starting out and trying to scale that way. And I think, Elliot, I hadn't thought about that, but thought about this, but it is important to be able to see, hey, what is selling? And I had a gentleman, he owns like I want to say a private equity firm, but it's pretty much a company that invests in different startup businesses. And as I interviewed him, this had to be maybe a year or so ago, or close to a year or so ago now. One of the things that he talked about when someone is getting into businesses, is it a market for them, for that, whatever it is that you're trying to sell, or the product that you're trying to sell, or the service that you're trying to provide? Is it a market for it? I think a lot of times when people ask me, because that's one of the things, once you start telling people, hey, you're a patent attorney, the first thing they say is, hey, I have an idea. And if I had $1 for every time I had heard that phrase, I would be rich. But they don't think at all, is it an actual market for this idea, regardless of whether it's is different in what's being done, regardless of the cost of it. Is it a market to actually really scale this thing? And I've seen firsthand from from cases or inventors that I worked with that, I mean, if you have the right thing that it's can be marketable to a broad audience and really catch on, you can really scale this thing quick, and it can change your life sooner rather than later. Which is why I think, patents and just being able to invent something to get a patent on it and use platforms like Amazon to scale it can, like you said, it's as you said, Kevin, it's going to be the new sexy thing that I think over the next 3 to 5 years that people are going to start doing more and more of, especially as they understand that, okay, isn't that hard to do. If you have, like you said, some guidance, this can actually be done. And this is not like something that you need a lot of money to accomplish. So I guess kind of going back into the oil udder, can you maybe just kind of give a description of what it does and how it does it?
Ellie, you want to grab that one?
Yeah. So it's essentially, in fact, I should have one sitting here now, but it's a rubber funnel made out of nitrile rubber, which is what they use for gaskets that come into contact with fuel. So it's very oil and fuel resistant. It has a ring in the center of it that has a magnet in it, and it essentially magnetically holds itself to an oil filter. You loosen the filter, catches all the oil that would otherwise get all over your hand and your frame and the ground and everything else.